Welcome back to Geneva Blue Studios. Yeah, I'm calling it studios now because I've got a new little a big studio. I'm in a studio. Um, when I say studio, I don't mean recording studio. I mean like a little one-bedroom apartment at the back of our house, which I'm now using for my office. Um, so I'm going to call this Geneva Blue Studios, I think, for my YouTube stuff. Um, I done a little bit of reorganising in my office. Got a little Geneva Blue thing over here, so you can see it in the background. I'll do a wrist check. Sorry, before I forget, this is a 7 Friday. It's not horlogerie, so to speak, but it's a cool watch. It's a P3, I think. Can't see, it's all black on the back. P301. And I bought this off the 7 Friday founder, Dan Niederer. He's a really cool guy, friend of mine in Switzerland, and he started 7 Friday in about 2012, I think. I bought this off him in 2012 in Zurich at his house. I went and had lunch with Dan. As I said, he's a really cool guy. He has a lot of experience in Desco, running distribution for some luxury watch brands around Australia and Southeast Asia. He's a lawyer. He's got a master's in law, so he's a smart fella. Doesn't really care about watches, I've found out. He's more of a, he's into jeans and design and different stuff. He's half owner in a design studio, which is why watches like this, or this watch actually worked, I think, pretty well, because it's the proportions are good and right. We used a cheapish movement, Miyota movement, and yeah, the whole package sort of spoke to the younger generation, and of course, there's a whole different bunch of models that have come out since then. But this is the sort of one I like. It's very very discreet sort of model. It's quite dark, black. It's got a few red highlights, and it's just a cool watch. Basically, I got it at a very good deal on this from Dan Niederer. Look him up in 7 Friday. I've caught up with him at Basel a few times. Won't be seeing him there this year. Anyway, that's what I've got on. And what I'm going to talk about today, I want to keep going through the brand pronunciations. I've had some feedback actually. Someone's looking at it, and taking notice, and learning stuff, which is kind of bizarre. Well, you weren't supposed to learn anything. It's just a fun thing. I've got this little bit of thing like it's coming out the top of my head, this little clock behind me. Anyway, so I'm going to go. I've got a few other things to talk about as well, but I'll start on this. I've got up to the M's. I'm only going to do the M's, and I probably missed out a few here. Before I start, I should say that last time when I talked about Lundi Bleu and L'Aventure, they're two of the brands that I import. And I stuffed up. I meant L'Aventure is a one-man operation. Lundi Bleu is two guys doing it. They're all friends of mine. I said it the other way around, I think. Anyway, you don't really care, but I don't like making mistakes, and I always like going back and correcting them. Manufacture Royale is the first one on the M's. Manufacture, which is factory. Royale, which is royal manufacture, royal factory. This is a brand that was, according to their website, it was launched in 1770 by Voltaire. He's a philosopher from France, or from Geneva. Geneva's on the border of France. A lot of French stuff going on there, and since then it's sort of died over the years. 1770 is a long time ago, and then in 2010 it popped up again, and it was relaunched by a family I know. I know one of the sons of the family, Alexei Wooten. These guys bringing back this brand. It's a different sort of look. It's not for everybody, but that's Manufacture Royale. Manufacture, the French, they often shorten it a bit, so it's Manufacture, they say it quickly. Manufacture Royale. Then we've got Maurice Lacroix. That's not a very old company, they're 1975. They've been around for they've been doing different stuff for a long time. Pretty sort of average looking watches. It's managed by owned by DKSH, which was the new version of Desco I talked about before that Dan used to work for. DKSH. They got a big factory still in Saint-Léger up in the Jura Hills in Switzerland. But Maurice Lacroix, you don't see the X on the end, Maurice Lacroix. Next one, I've got Mido, part of the Swatch Group. M-I-D-O, Mido. Mondaine, let's say it in French, Mondaine, which everyone knows as a Swiss Railways watch. I bought one of these way back, probably, what have I got on my notes? Mondaine's been around since 1944, was that whole clock look, the Swiss Railways clock. I don't have one on my wall here, but there's one inside the house, a big one, which is exactly the same sort of dimensions or proportions as the Swiss Railways clock. You'll see in all the platforms on the Swiss Railway stations. It's got it's CFF, SBB, and something else. It's got like the logo for Swiss Railways on all of in all the languages on the watch face, basically, which is kind of interesting. It's 3 languages on the face of the clock. That was the CFF clock, and Mondaine got the license to do that, but to use that basically in I don't know when 96, I think, basically. I've been doing them since. I got one of the very first ones, which is that same look. The Mondaine has got a whole bunch of those sort of watches now, but that's the Swiss Railways watch, the CFF watch, Chemin de Fer Fédéral watch, whatever. Then I've got Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc is one that I'll probably hear mispronounced the most. It's a brand bought by Richemont. Don't know what year that was. They've only been doing watches since 1997. They sort of cheat a bit on the website because they say it's they bang on about Minerva movements, Minerva watches, Minerva movements back in the 40s and 50s. They say it's like they hark back to their watches. They don't. They've only been doing watches since 97, but they use movements. They bought that movement manufacturer from that brand back in the day. They've been doing pens since 1924, which is kind of why I have a difficulty with Mont Blanc. They're a pen company, and also the headquarters or the German company, which is about 1,000 kilometers from the mountain called Mont Blanc in France. Mont Blanc is in France. It's on the border between France and Italy. In Italy, it's called Monte Bianco. It's a long way from where Mont Blanc started. They sort of thought, oh, this is the pinnacle of luxury pens in Europe. What's the highest mountain? It's called the Mont Blanc, and it's the link is quite tenuous. You can't even see the Mont Blanc from Hamburg. Hamburg's way up in northern Germany. I used to look at the Mont Blanc. I used to see it pretty often. On a clear day, you can see it from Geneva and all the way along. You can see it from almost where our house in Switzerland, 30, 40, 50 Ks away, 70 Ks away. It's a big mountain, beautiful mountain. Obviously, there's a lot of ski resorts around there, French ski resorts, and Italian ones on the Italian side. But it's Mont, you don't even see the T in Mont Blanc. You don't see the C on the end of the Blanc, obviously. So that's just Mont Blanc. Then we have Movado from the Show de Fonds in 1881. But that was bought by Americans, and now it's part of the, they have a group, the MGI group, Movado Group Incorporated or something like that. They actually own all these funny brands like Movement. Movement's been huge for them, MVMT. They do Tommy Hilfiger stuff. They do a lot of like fashion brands, Coach, Tommy Hilfiger, Hugo Boss. That's all done by Movado or the MGI group, basically. They own Ebel, so that's Movado. That's how the French would say it. I don't know you want to say it. So it's an American company. They can say it how they want. That's the M's basically. I'll stop there because I want to have a chat about what are we going to chat about? Not about the coronavirus because everyone else seems to be talking about that. I have a little project here. I have my dad staying with us, so they come across to Switzerland to Perth, and he bought his 15300 AP. I have a few of these, but this one in particular, it's one I gave to Dad for his birthday. I mentioned it on the podcast. It's here with me, and I need to get, you can see how loose this the bracelet is. There's massive big gaps. That's how it was when it left the factory. I bought this watch, I think, in about 2009-ish. It has the AP in-house 3120 movement, which we'll get more into that later. Let me just show you that. It's a beautiful looking movement. If we go on looks alone, it's a nice movement. But we don't go on looks alone. It's a grey dial, the original grey dial, the old grey dial, or I'm sorry, blue dial. It's a bluey grey colour. It's still a really nice, catches the light very nicely, this construction, these watches. Anyway, I've got to put a new strap on it, a new bracelet basically. And also have to get it serviced because it's not too good. This bracelet distension is basically from my father wearing it around in the wheat belt in New South Wales on his quad and on his motorbikes, and the red dust, very fine red dust, getting into the steel links of that watch, and it's basically cactused. So what I did when the last time I was in Switzerland, I got this from Audemars Piguet, which is a new one, and this is the new bracelet. I'm not, banging on about it, but it's obviously, just to get for comparison, it's much stiffer. It's there's a lot less gap between the links. This cost about $3,500 if I remember correctly. So I'm going to put that on his watch. I'm also going to do a bit of a polish, a refurb at the front of the bezel of the watch and the case. Maybe I'll just touch up a little tiny bit, get that brushing right again, so it looks more like it did when it left the factory. It's been back for a service a couple of times. That's because of that movement, the 3120 I was talking about, which I'm not a big fan of at all. But I won't say any more than that, really. It's a, yeah. I'll be much happier if I had an AP of where I am when I have an AP with different movements in them, basically. I have a jumbo, the old 5402, actually, which has got the old Gégé movement, very flat. I prefer that, basically. So this is what I'm going to do in the next couple of days. That's a job. I need to strip that down, give it a little, check the hairspring, basically, which I think is the main problem with that watch. Yeah, it's a pity with that movement. I still have a soft spot for AP, having worked there and having done my watchmaking there. Got the clock up here, a few other clocks here and there. It's just something I need to get done. I want Dad to wear that for the rest of his time. Basically, he's got a lot of good use out of it. Obviously, the first time we brought it back, I took it back to the workshop for a service when I was still doing my Piguet. It had welding spatter on the bezel. And some pretty big chunks and dings and stuff he'd been wearing on the farm, which is fine, it's made to wear. But since then he promised to take it a bit easy and not do too much welding with it, or fencing, where he bashes it around. I don't think he knows what these things go for now. The price of the things have obviously gone up a lot since I bought that. And if I can get it back looking pretty good, you know, his grandkids should be able to enjoy it, basically. That's about all there is, I think. It's yeah, I'm pretty happy with leave a comment below if you want me to talk about. So I don't really say that usually, but leave a comment below if you want me to talk about something in particular. I'll be continuing with the podcast series Robin the Regulator on Fifth Wrist Radio with the watch regulator. And we'll be covering a bit of this stuff as well. We'll be covering a bit of coronavirus stuff. Well, no, we won't. I think I'm going to put off my trip to Switzerland next month. Obviously, that's just all been shot down in flames. I don't think I'll even postpone the trip. I'll just get my money back if I can. It'll cost me something, but I'll get my money back so that when it really goes pear-shaped, I have a bit of cash. And I'm trying to sell a bunch of watches, and I've got a few more pre-owned watches on the website on genevablue.com.au as well, and I've just got an email through with a bunch of other watches I can put on there. I've just got hold of a white dial Rolex Daytona, a newish one, which I'll be selling. If you're interested in that, give me a call. And also an old Pepsi. And that's all, I think. Yeah, it's starting to rain, so you can probably hear that, so it's probably time for me to stop. Cheers.